Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
It's our literature unit for the month of April, and we're going to be talking about a young reader's novel with the title Rainbow Boys. Okay, so when you see the word rainbow, you probably will automatically think of LGBTQ plus issues, and that's what this book is all about. We've got three guys who are struggling with their sexual identity.
We're going to talk about their story for the next couple of days, and then as we do in some of our literature units on day 3, we're going to talk about some of the themes and maybe a little bit about the author himself, who is a gay man. What's his name? I think his name is Alex Sanchez. Yeah.
Sounds right, indeed.
We're going to talk about that, but first, guys, as we always do, we're going to read through day 1. In a suburban high school, 3 seniors struggle with their identities and sexuality. Jason Carrillo, the school's star basketball player, has it all. Good looks, popularity, and a beautiful girlfriend. Yet beneath this perfect facade, he secretly wrestles with his attraction to boys. One weekend, curiosity drives him to a Rainbow Youth meeting, where he unexpectedly meets schoolmates Nelson Glassman and Kyle Meeks. Nelson has long understood his sexual orientation, and his mother supports his identity. As the only student who has come out at school, he endures daily bullying. Despite this, he remains true to himself and wishes for broader acceptance from those beyond his family. While he seems confident, Nelson conceals his profound feelings for his best friend Kyle, a secret he guards carefully to preserve their friendship. Meanwhile, Kyle, an intelligent and shy swimmer, has known for a while that he is gay, but fears telling others, especially his parents. He is shocked yet hopeful when he sees Jason at the meeting, because he has had a crush on him for a long time. However, the meeting ends abruptly when Jason flees in panic. The following Monday, he nervously pulls Kyle aside between classes. Jason insists he hadn't known the nature of the meeting and pleads for secrecy. Kyle agrees, but it doesn't solve Jason's dilemmas. As Jason's inner conflict intensifies, he breaks up with his girlfriend. Subsequently, his grades begin to drop, putting his college scholarship at risk. The stress of college applications pushes him to seek Kyle's assistance, which deepens their bond. During their study sessions, Jason begins to realize his feelings for Kyle might be more than friendship.
Okay, let's discuss the contents of our lesson for today. We're summarizing the plot of our featured novel. This novel actually came out many, many years ago, over 20 years ago, and this issue is still with us, and it's a concern to a lot of people. This particular book explores lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, queer, and plus. What's the plus stand for? I seem to have forgotten
people who don't really know how to define themselves. They could be maybe, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Tom.
They're still working it out.
Sometimes they dress up as animals. Yeah. You know, it's just kind of a crazy thing.
Yeah, let's just say people who aren't straight. Straight these days refers to people who like the opposite sex. And this is a book about the alternative community. I guess I can say that. And in the first paragraph here, it says, in a suburban high school, 3 seniors struggle with their identities and sexuality. So if something's suburban, it's an urban area, but outside a big city. Okay, so of course, here in Taipei, we've got Taipei City, and suburban areas would probably include, Danshui or Ruifang or places like that. They're outside the big city. They're not in the big city, but they're around it. It's kind of ambiguous now because Xinbeishi is actually called a city, but I used to consider it a suburb of Taipei, but I guess technically it isn't anymore because of that name.
I have to kind of disagree with Tom on this explanation a little bit because Taiwan doesn't really have suburban areas. Taiwan is very different. We have that combination of stores and apartments built into the same building, which is more like our New York City, which is very unusual in America. if you see this word suburban and you're talking about American literature, we're talking about just neighborhoods of houses of families and schools. There really aren't any big stores out in the suburban area. It's just where people, they don't want to live in the city anymore because it's gotten dangerous in some urban cities, at least in America. So they move out so they can live in single-level homes. There really aren't a lot of apartment buildings so much. But suburban is where this high school is located. So these are kids who probably grew up with a middle-class background. They're not poor. They probably go to a pretty good school. And we're talking about seniors in high school. So they're probably 17, 18 years old. At least they were when I was a senior in high school. And they're struggling with their identities, their sexuality. Who am I? Do I like guys? Do I like girls? What am I? And we've got this protagonist here, Jason Carrillo, and he's the school's star basketball player. So if you're the star basketball player, everybody knows who you are. And you're probably tall and very athletic. Here it says he has it all. If you see that phrase, someone has it all, it just means they've got the whole package. They're good looking, they're popular, they're probably pretty successful in what they do. They have it all. If you're a performer, you're good looking, you probably can dance and sing and act, you can do it all. So he's got it all. Here, our author tells us what he has, his attributes. He's good looking, he's popular, and of course, as a star basketball player, he has a beautiful girlfriend.
Indeed, if you're the star basketball player, you want to have a beautiful girlfriend. Yet, still, despite all those things, beneath this perfect facade, he secretly wrestles with his attraction to boys. So he's got this facade. That's the surface of something. When you talk about architecture, of course, sometimes you need to describe the facade or the front of the building. And usually the letter C there has a little kind of a backward C underneath it to indicate that the letter C is pronounced as an S, facade.
Yeah.
And this is the facade, the face that he shows the world. But inside, he's struggling. He wrestles with the fact that he's attracted to boys. To wrestle could mean you get a couple of guys on a mat and they try to pin each other to the mat to win the game. I did wrestling in 7th grade, I believe. I was really terrible at it. But in any case, to wrestle in this particular case means you struggle with something, you're confused about it, you don't quite know how to make any conclusions.
Yeah, I wanted to mention too, facade. We use this word if you're talking about making a movie, right? Or even if you're watching a stage play. They have the front part of a building showing, but if you walk around, there's nothing behind it. So that's a facade. And we'll also say someone has a facade if they pretend they're a certain way, but they're not really that way. Have you ever known somebody like a cheerleader that acts really friendly and nice, but she's really kind of not very nice? We say, she just wears that facade. She has a facade. So you'll see that word. But like Tom said, be careful. This isn't pronounced facade or facade. It's facade. It comes from French, I believe. But we use this word quite frequently, so it's good to know. And you'll often see that little funny curvy line underneath the C. That helps you know that it's pronounced a little differently.
Yeah, there's a word for that little squiggle beneath the letter C. I forgot what it was. But in any case, usually you do see that little line under the letter C. And it's on with some other words as well, but we don't have time to get into that. Now, one weekend, curiosity drives him to a Rainbow Youth meeting where he unexpectedly meets schoolmates Nelson Glassman and Kyle Meeks. So those are the other characters in this novel. So remember, we've got Jason, the basketball player, and then we've got Nelson and Kyle.
Yeah, the three amigos, the three friends. So let's find out a little bit more about them. One weekend, Jason, our school star basketball player, wants to go and check out a Rainbow Youth meeting. It says that curiosity drives him. He's curious. He doesn't know what it's about. He wants to go check it out. I don't think he knows exactly what he's going to find there. So he goes and he unexpectedly meets schoolmates. He runs into two school classmates there, Nelson Glassman and Kyle Meeks. Schoolmates, they attend the same school. Classmates, they're in the same class. So I don't know if they're classmates, but they are schoolmates. And he's kind of surprised to meet them there, isn't he?
He is, and Nelson here in the next paragraph, it says, has long understood his sexual orientation, and his mother supports his identity. So he was out of the closet a long time ago. He understood his sexual orientation. He knew that he was homosexual very early, and he was at peace with that, and his mother knows about it, and she supports his identity. She's not trying to convert him back. As the only student who has come out at school, he endures daily bullying. This is very common, of course. If you're different from other people, you're going to suffer bullying from other people. They're just going to pick on you. They might beat you. They'll call you names. They'll embarrass you in front of your classmates. And a person who does that is called a bully.
That's right. So his mother supports him. And it says here he's long understood his sexual orientation. We use orientation to talk about a lot of different things, guys. But here we're putting sexual in front of it, meaning you kind of understand whether you are attracted to men or women, or in some cases with the plus, to furry animals. Don't get me started on that.
Or you're attracted to both or neither.
Or
There's
whatever,
a lot of different ways,
you know.
Yeah.
So we know that some people are attracted to animals. It's all over the place these days. But his mother supports him in his chosen identity. So as the only student who has come out at school, as Tom said, he's come out of the closet. That's a slang phrase to announce that you are not straight, is to come out. He endures that daily bullying. If you're different in any way, if you have crazy red hair or you have an accent or anything that's different about you, other kids are going to pick up on it. And unfortunately, when we're younger in particular, we tend to bully and to treat people who are a little different badly, which is not good. So despite this, Nelson remains true to himself. He doesn't give up on what he believes and wishes for broader acceptance. Broader meaning including more people, and acceptance meaning people understanding who he thinks he is or who he says he is and saying that's okay. We still like you. Come on in. Join the club.
Right, so Nelson understands his sexual orientation, but he still suffers bullying because of this. Despite this, he remains true to himself. He's not going to change into a heterosexual or a straight person. He seeks broader acceptance from those beyond his family. So he still wants people to accept who he is, to not reject him, not to be afraid. Hey, I'm just like you. I just have a different sexual orientation. So he wants broader acceptance outside of his family because, remember, his mother supports him and he wants other people to accept his disposition as well.
Right. So he seems confident, at least to the people around him, but he is concealing his profound feelings for his best friend, Kyle. Oh, he's interested in Kyle. If you conceal something, you hide it. It's kept away from sight, concealing a secret. For the ladies out there who buy makeup, there's something called a concealer, which you rub on zits or imperfections on your face, which cover them up. That's a concealer. And we have a lot of people who conceal a lot of things about themselves, not just their sexual orientation, of course. So he conceals the fact that he has profound, very deep feelings for his friend. It's his best friend. It's his buddy, Kyle, right? They've always been best buddies. But Kyle doesn't know this, and he carefully guards his secret because he wants to keep his friendship intact.
Right. If he reveals his feelings, it may sacrifice their friendship, and I'll have to look for another buddy. Okay, that brings us to the midway point in our lesson for today. Let's listen now to our Chinese teacher.
Hello everyone, 我是 Patrick 老师，今天讲解的是4月23号 Unit 14。好，这个单元介绍的是 Rainbow Boys 彩虹男孩这本小说。小说处理的是青少年性别认同的议题。书中呢有3名主角，分别是 Jason、Nelson、Kyle。那他们呢分别处于性别认同的不同阶段。 好，我们一起来看学习重点吧。请同学呢先看到第一段，第一段先让我们知道这些人物他们的背景，时空背景。In a suburban high school， 所以原来是在校园里头。好，有3位主角 ，3 seniors， 那他们呢都是属于高中最后一个阶段了。Struggle with their identities and sexuality。那我们知道 struggle with， 当然所谓的 struggle 就是有点挣扎，所以他们面临了什么样的困难？哪些困难呢？身份认同的困难，还有性倾向 sexuality， 那就是指他们的性倾向的问题。好，那我们来看，接下来呢就分别介绍这些人物了。首先第一位 Jason Carrillo， 好，他是谁呀？原来呢是学校的篮球明星。He has it all， has it all， 那就表示呢什么样？各方面的条件都非常的好，比方说外表 good looks， 长相很好看， popularity 人缘也很好，而且呢还有一个漂亮的女朋友。那第3个句子 Yet beneath this perfect facade， 请同学把 facade 画起来，它原本指的是建筑的门面，这里所讲的呢当然就是在这个 Jason 他亮丽的外表之下。好 ，he secretly wrestles with wrestle 本来呢是我们知道等于是和人家摔跤搏斗，那可是这 wrestle with 当然不是实际上去和谁搏斗摔跤，那这里所指的就是他处理了一个问题，那这项问题呢对他来说是非常吃力的，就是他发现他对其他的男孩子是有感觉的。好，那我们看第4个句子 One weekend， 就在某个周末 Curiosity drives him to， 那因为好奇心的关系，那我们中文也会说好奇心驱使之下，那英文的动词就用 drives， Curiosity drives him to， 他呢就去参加了所谓的 Rainbow Youth Meeting， 那这算是一个社团的会议社团的这种例会，那他就刚好呢看到他的同学 Nelson， 还有呢 Kyle。 再来我们看到第2段，那到第1段结束为止呢，我们已经看到3个主要的主角了。那第2段的话呢，就分别的去再进一步介绍其他2位。那像这个Nelson， 他有什么样子的问题呢？他其实早早就知道自己的性倾向，那也很公开的出柜。那可是呢 ，he endures daily bullying， 那每天都会被霸凌。endure 就是要去忍受、承受。那再来，我们看到第4个句子就是讲到这个 Nelson 他还有一件困扰，什么困扰呢？就是他对自己最要好的朋友 Kyle 其实是有感觉的。好，那怎么样呢？他为了要避免破坏友谊，好 ，to preserve their friendship， 就表示呢他不想要破坏友谊嘛。那他藏了一个秘密 ，he guards a secret。A secret he guards， 那他呢保守了一个秘密。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, let's continue with our lesson. Again, we're talking about Jason, Nelson, and Kyle.And how they feel about each other and whether they're friends or not. Remember, Jason is the captain of the basketball team, but he's a little unsure of his sexual orientation. He pretty much knows he's gay, but he won't admit it just yet. And then he meets Nelson and Kyle. Nelson is comfortable with his sexual orientation. His mother supports him, but he still gets bullied at school. And, of course, there's another problem here. Nelson actually has feelings...for Kyle, but it's a secret that he keeps concealed because he wants to maintain his friendship with Kyle.
That's right. So, Kyle is a swimmer, and he's described as being shy. He's very intelligent, and Kyle has known for a while that he is gay, but he hasn't told anybody. He fears telling others, especially his parents. So he is shocked yet hopeful when he sees Jason at the meeting because Kyle has a crush on Jason. He doesn't have a crush on Nelson. Nelson has a crush on Kyle. Do you see how this works?
Mm-hmm.
So Nelson has a crush on Kyle, but Kyle's not interested in Nelson. He's interested in Jason, who he always thought was straight. But then Jason shows up at the Rainbow Youth meeting, and he thinks, ooh, maybe I have a chance with this guy.
He gets his hopes up.
He does. He gets his hopes up. And remember, though, Kyle has kept the fact that he's gay a secret until now, except that when he's around other gay folks. For example, at the Rainbow Youth meeting, of course, everybody who goes out there is probably lesbian or gay, so they feel like they can be more open out there.
Right. It seems like Jason did not know what rainbow meant when he went there, and he was probably kind of surprised about the orientation of the meeting, but later on it seems to do him some good. Now, in the next paragraph here, it says, however, the meeting ends abruptly when Jason flees in panic. Now, if something happens abruptly, it happens all of a sudden, it happens quickly, and it's unexpected, okay? So for some reason, the meeting ended. It just stopped for no apparent reason, and they all had to go their separate ways. And Jason's afraid here. He flees in panic. Oh, my goodness, what's happening? The meeting ended. I'm in trouble. I need to get out of here.
If something happens abruptly, it's something that happens suddenly and kind of unexpectedly. Maybe they had kind of an argument in the meeting. Maybe two people weren't getting along. We don't know, but the meeting does happen to end very suddenly. Someone can also be abrupt with you, which means they're very short with you. They're not very polite. They want you to get to the point. Someone can be abrupt. But here, something is happening abruptly, suddenly, unexpectedly. If someone's abrupt, it means they're almost rude to you. They're so short and kind of curt with you. But here, Jason ends up and he flees in panic. He didn't realize where he was getting himself into, I guess. The following Monday, he nervously pulls Kyle aside between classes. Remember, they're friends, and Jason pleads with Kyle not to give away the fact that he attended that meeting. Remember, Jason is that star basketball player. Everybody thinks he's got it all. He's got that beautiful girlfriend in addition. So that wouldn't be good for her to find out he'd been at a gay meeting or at least a rainbow meeting. So because Kyle is friends with Jason, he understands what he's asking for. If you plead for secrecy, you just beg someone to keep your secret for you.
Yes, please keep it a secret. Don't tell it to anybody else. It's our secret, okay? No one else should know.
Right.
And Kyle agrees. Okay, Jason, I'll do whatever you ask. But it does not solve Jason's dilemmas. If you have a dilemma, you're not quite sure what to do. You have one choice, and then you have another choice, and it's very difficult to decide between the two things. So I think lots of dilemmas would face people when they're trying to choose where to go to college. Yes, I could go to a university out of town. It's cheap. It's a good university. But then you could go to a university closer to home. It's more expensive, but it's closer to home. So, yeah, that's a dilemma. Gee, I can't decide what should I do. And yes, Jason has these dilemmas. Gee, am I straight? Am I gay? Just what is my identity? I just don't know.
Well, it's a pretty tough dilemma. Well, Jason's inner conflict, that fight or struggle he's having within himself. What shall I do? You know, I feel this way, but I don't want to let people down. I've got that girlfriend that's going to hurt her if I break up with her. But that inner conflict intensifies. If something intensifies, it simply means it becomes more and more intense, more serious. You don't want your illness to intensify. That means you get sicker. You don't want that. Or you don't want your temper to intensify, meaning you get more and more angry as time goes on. But his inner conflict intensifies, and it leads to him breaking up with his girlfriend. It's probably the right thing to do. And subsequently, or because of that, following that happening, his grades begin to drop, which is a bad thing. Remember, he's got probably plans to go to a good college, right? And if your grades drop, that's not going to be good. It's putting his college scholarship at risk. This is all bad stuff.
Yeah, he might have a sports scholarship if he's good at basketball. They might let him into school without having good grades necessarily. It depends on the school. but still he's getting bad grades here, so that, of course, jeopardizes his college career. It puts it at risk. And the stress of college applications pushes him to seek Kyle's assistance, which deepens their bond. So you might all be facing this right now. You're in university, or excuse me, you're in high school. Maybe you're a junior or a senior, and you're deciding where to go. And you send out lots of applications to different universities, and you need to make a decision. So he's under a lot of pressure there. I'm sure his parents are probably putting him under pressure as well, or pressure from his teachers or his classmates or whatever. And it's just too much for him, so he finds Kyle. He looks for Kyle and says, "Oh, Kyle, help me. I'm really depressed about this situation. Let me talk about it with you."
Oh, we are not done with the plot, guys, but we are going to continue on with the plot in day 2. We're going to find out more about what's going on. It's getting kind of exciting. Who knows what's going to happen? So, yeah, these are all situations that people can relate to, whether you're considering the fact of your identity or not. Everybody is struggling with some identity questions. Who am I? What do I want out of life? Who are my true friends? Who will support me no matter what I decide to do? These are tough questions, especially for high school age kids. Yeah, we'll see what happens, but we're not finished talking about these 3 boys. Remember, we've got Jason, Kyle, and Nelson, and they're all very different. You're going to see how they kind of respond to the pressures in different ways.
Exactly. Now, I want to mention as a side here, I don't believe I knew anybody by the name of Nelson. I did not know anybody by the name of Kyle, and I did not know anybody by the name of Jason when I was going to high school. Nelson was usually a last name, a surname for people. Kyle, I suppose that name's around somewhere, but I didn't really know anybody by the name of Kyle when I was in school. But maybe these names are pretty common to you, huh?
Yeah, they're pretty common, I would say. We're going to talk more about their dilemmas, guys, but right now we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher, and then we'll be back to wrap up.
好，那不想要破坏友谊，所以咯，我们就知道他没有办法去告诉自己最好的朋友他喜欢他嘛。好，那这个 Kyle 他又是什么样子的人呢？ Kyle 呢，他很会游泳，不过呢，他其实也很害羞，那还不敢呢公开的这个出柜。好，那 he is shocked yet hopeful when he sees Jason。那对于我们这个篮球明星哦，其实呢是有感觉的。那尤其又发现这个 Jason 居然呢也出现在这个彩虹的社团的例会的时候，他更是觉得说，那会不会有可能有进一步的发展呢？ He has had a crush on him for a long time。那原来这个 Kyle 其实早就暗恋他 ，had a crush on him。这个 him 指的当然就是 Jason。他已经暗恋 Jason 一段时间了。再来，请同学呢看到第3段。那可是后来 Jason 呢，他落荒而逃。为什么？他很惊慌嘛，看到了这2位自己认识的人 ，Jason flees in panic， 他就跑掉了。那再来呢，我们看到第3个句子第3个句子这个 Jason 他看到 Kyle 把他拉到外面去，那跟他讲说，他不知道这个例会到底是在干嘛的。He hadn't known the nature of the meeting， 根本不知道这是什么样子的例会。请同学注意的是，这里的 insist 并不是我们常见的坚持，而是呢，它有这样子的一套说辞，这样的说法。好，那再来我们看到第4个句子，请同学注意的就是，那 Kyle 当然知道这个 Jason 在做什么啊。他说好啦，我不会去跟别人讲。可是其实即使Kyle 这样答应了 ，it doesn't solve Jason's dilemmas。Jason 呢，很显然的其实是进退两难的。再来，我们来看一下，好 ，Jason 这方面，他其实面临了性别认同的问题，也影响到他的生活。请看第6个句子 ，His grades begin to drop， 成绩呢其实越来越不理想，那导致怎么样呢 ？Putting his college scholarship at risk， 就会造成呢他大学的这个奖学金要拿到的话是会有风险的。好，再来请 醒同学看到第7个句子。那由于他很担心自己到底能不能够顺利的拿到这个奖学金，因为成绩又越来越差嘛，他就找 Kyle， 那希望呢他能够帮助他。那因为两个人多了更多的互动 which deepens their bond， 两个人彼此之间的连结也越来越强，感情也越来越好。好，以上就是我们针对第一天课文内容所做的中文讲解。
Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Thanks for joining us, and make sure you check out extra content on YouTube and Facebook. And yes, pay attention to our content and don't get distracted by other content, even though it is quite tempting. From all of us here at English Digest, my name is Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.